Now it appears Kyrie got his wish. Clearly, he win the standoff.
Yeah, he did. Kyrie Irving absolutely won the standoff. Now, I will give respect to Kyrie Irving for this, for standing for what he believes in.
Okay.
Now, I do not respect what he believed in, nor do I respect his logic and how he displayed his logic in that belief, but I definitely respect a man for standing up for their beliefs, regardless of how I feel about their beliefs. Kyrie Irving won the standoff because at the end of the day, he's going to get back to playing basketball. He got to stand for what he believes in. And if you're Kyrie Irving, you didn't really care about money because you were fine losing some. You don't really care about wins and losses because without LeBron James, you really ain't won much anyway. So if you are Kyrie Irving, the only thing you really have is your convictions. The only thing you really can continue to put your pride in is who you are as a human being. He's put his pride in that, and he's put his pride in convictions as far as sitting out games after being called the N-word, missing games for relatives' birthdays, sitting there and saying that the earth was flat when everybody had concluded it was round. Kyrie Irving just stands for his convictions. At the end of the day, that is all he has when it is all said and done. So I do think Kyrie Irving won the standoff. I don't respect what he was standing for, but I do respect the fact that he took a stance.
Now, won the battle, lost the war.
Yeah.
Still to be determined, I believe, actually, in terms of whether he has any chance of winning. If they end up winning a championship, then an argument can be made that, yes, Kyrie Irving won the battle because he got to do what he wanted to do, which is not be vaccinated, and he has still accomplished what he set out to do. But let's not lose sight of that, and let's not lose sight of where they are. They are 4-10 in the 14 games that Kyrie Irving has played in. We still don't know. I mean, everybody's getting excited. Oh, the New York mayor's optimistic that eventually we might drop this mandate. But he also said that they're going to go through steps and measures, and they're going to take advice from the health officials in how they slowly ramp this up. So it still remains to be seen, one, when Kyrie Irving actually will be eligible to play in every game. Two, when are we going to see Ben Simmons? At what point do we see Ben Simmons? The vaccine stand that Kyrie took is in part contributing to the fact that they have a brand new player that they have to incorporate in who hasn't played all season long, and we don't know when he's going to be prepared to play. And then we have Kevin Durant with the sprained knee. Have no idea when he's going to come back and play. As it stands, with this announcement, I'm not sure that anything is different. So would we have said a month ago, 2 months ago, that Kyrie Irving had won the standoff? I wouldn't. And I've seen his excitement before. I saw it in Boston when he sat down at the press conference with his good friend Gordon Hayward and all the great things that they were going to do in Boston. Kind of reminiscent of what I saw when he came together with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn. Didn't work out in either place. So I understand, Acho. I don't want to get into the politics. Unfortunately, politics have been drawn into the whole not vaccinated subject. But the fact of the matter is, Kyrie Irving is a basketball player. Kyrie Irving's objective, my understanding, was to win a championship. And where he is and the stand that he took has separated himself from the opportunity to do that to this point. So I can't possibly make the case that he's won a standoff.
Good point.
Oh, man, he won the standoff, and it's clear. There's not a no answer to this question. Many will attempt. There's two things we got to look at: how this is going to change the Brooklyn Nets, the Nets and their fortunes, and also what you think of Kyrie Irving. Let's just be real about it. Okay, let's start off with what I think of Kyrie Irving. My opinion of him hasn't changed. Let me tell you why. When he became a man of his convictions through actions, even though I disagreed in my actions because I'm actually vaccinated, I left that to the side and passed no judgment on him, even though he did things differently. Let me tell you why. Because I respect him as an activist, as many activists I don't respect. Because I think of most activists I see today, at least, the selfie activists, they're out there and, they're doing their activism and then they're taking the pictures in the same breath. And I'm like, It just seems like it's a quick route to moral virtue. It's a quick route to being on the right side, on the good side. Look at me. And what I respect about Kyrie, he took the hard route. He took the slow route. He just said, look, I'm going to play when I can play. I'm a man of my conviction. So he didn't try and go out there and turbo boost this situation. He did it in a way that you have to fully respect him, even if you don't fully agree with his decision. Now let's talk about how this is going to change the basketball team. Slick, Acho, y'all know how it is. You can be going along in your efforts in your career, whether it's when Acho and we played, or Slick when you're covering the sport, or right now doing this. And all of a sudden you get that call from your representation, and they're saying, hey, upstairs wants to talk about an extension, wants to talk about changes in the near future. Check your biorhythms in that moment. Check your heart rate in that moment. We're all built off of the premise of hope and aspiration, and then the next step, can it be greater? And Kyrie Irving, regardless if things change or not, already he's thinking, this is going to be great, to the tune of why he talked at the All-Star game, y'all better watch out for my squad. Now, all of a sudden, you look at a team that has missed Kevin Durant in the last 17 games. So anytime we talk about, well, they're 4-10 without Kyrie, and with Kyrie, y'all need to stop. Without Kevin Durant and Kyrie, it's a non-starter in terms of conversation. But Kyrie inspired to come back. Kyrie potentially being allowed to come back. And then you look at a team that has Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, healthy, with an addition off the bench with Goran Dragic, and an East that no one is scaring anybody. For me, Slick, to me, Kyrie clearly won the standoff, not only as potentially on the basketball court as leading this team to a championship, but also you got to respect that man, at least his character.
Marcellus, I'm interested that you took the word activist and applied it to Kyrie Irving. It suggests that he was he protesting something? Was he making a statement? What was Kyrie Irving attempting to accomplish by not being vaccinated? I still don't have an answer to that, other than I didn't want to be vaccinated, so I wasn't. Was that it? Or was it something bigger than that? That's the problem that I have, and why Kyrie Irving and my view of him has not changed. I think he's a walking contradiction. We label him as a point guard. He's a shooting guard. I think he's a brilliant soloist as a player. Unfortunately, he plays a team game. He loves to give us the sense that he's enlightened, and yet so many times he sounds oblivious. I look at all of the things that he wants to be or that he's said that he is, and then I can always give you something. He's unbelievably generous to people he does not know, and yet to the people closest to him, you know what, on second thought, I know you guys all agreed to play in the bubble, but let's back this up and let's go over this one more time. Kyrie, we already had this conversation. What are you doing? Kyrie, we're all going to get vaccinated and we're going to play and go after this championship. Hold on a second. I'm not sure I want to do that. This is Kyrie Irving in a nutshell, and it's why I struggle. Look, I love what he is. In terms of his handles, in terms of his shot creation, there's none better. When I watch him in a silo, when I watch just him, I am enthralled. When I pull the viewfinder back and I'm watching him within the concept of the team, there's no surprise to me that the Brooklyn Nets are 4-10 in the 14 games that he has played in. So that's my struggle, is what exactly, we're talking he won the standoff. What did he win? Other than he got his, I can't even say he got his way because it hasn't happened yet. So what did he win? Tell me, what did he win, Acho?
Yo, Slick, phenomenal take. And not because I fully agree with it, because it enlightened me. You made a lot of great points in my mind. I do believe that Kyrie Irving is a walking contradiction. I said last week, Kyrie's primary goal is to be a contrarian. I do not think his primary goal is to win basketball games. I believe Kyrie's primary goal is to be a contrarian. His secondary goal is to win basketball games. Why do you talk primary versus secondary goals? Because when push comes to shove, you will always rock with your primary goal. So if Kyrie Irving is like, okay, I can win a championship or I can be a contrarian, I'm going to be a contrarian. So I fully and wholeheartedly agree with you there. The only reason I would argue or submit he's won the standoff is truly because at least Kyrie Irving can say, I did what I wanted to do and nobody made me budge. I sacrificed winning, I sacrificed money, and I didn't have to give up what I wanted to give up. That's the only thing. But in totality, Nets are no closer to winning a championship. the Nets are no better with Kyrie Irving on the floor than they are without him on the floor. And Kyrie Irving hasn't yet actually accomplished anything because we do not know if he will actually play at home games. So I'm not mad at all at your take, Slick, and I honestly am grateful for a take to make me think.
Okay.
Here comes
I said, okay.
He's going to shoot that down.
You already know. Cat. Kyrie wasn't the only one that walked out of that bubble initially. LeBron, others was with him. Now, Kyrie may be the igniter because I think Kyrie is not a walking contradiction. I think he's more revealing than most. When you're brutally honest with yourself, it allows you the opportunity and the landscape to be honest about others. And as you start to expose what you really think, you will start to realize that what you think is not always in alignment to what this world is suggesting. So that's why I find Kyrie Irving not a walking contradiction, but so honest that he actually at times may look like what he's doing is not in alignment to what we want to do. Slick, what am I saying right here? That the only people who will call someone a walking contradiction are hypocrites. Because all it means really is I ain't saying you, but I'm saying you. We, as I've learned, when we point at others' flaws, it helps us keep ours in our own treasure chest. And when we reveal more of ourselves, more flaws will be revealed and more things will be perceived as contradiction. Kyrie Irving is not a contradiction. He didn't name himself a point guard. We did. And then guess what? He just plays basketball. Kyrie Irving's like, dude, why y'all single me out like I can't win without a great when nobody else great out here winning without another great? Name them. LeBron didn't win without another great, did he? LeBron had Dwayne Wade. LeBron James has Anthony Davis. LeBron James has had Kyrie Irving. And then we hold Kyrie to a different standard. Nah, you ain't did a lot of winning without what? Without who? So now in a situation where everyone last year got hurt, including Kyrie Irving, I think he wins the standoff. He worked smarter this year, not harder. And he didn't work more. He's going to have his body reserved for the time where you need it most, in the postseason. And it's amazing that this whole NBA is trying to figure out how to get to the postseason without taking too much off the tires, right? Well, Kyrie, a man of character, or at least his beliefs and convictions, found a way to reroute that. And he did it the way he wanted to do it. So for me, it's a little out of bounds to call him a walking contradiction when we're not all sitting here in total revelation and revealing of ourselves. But with that said, I think the Brooklyn Nets, if they move this up, they allow them to be unvaccinated in the bubble. Remember when Adam Silver 2 weeks ago said this? I question this whole policy as it stands right now. You think he didn't have inside information? You think he wasn't leaning towards the information that is now coming down the pipeline in terms of removing the vaccine mandates? But, Slick, I ain't going to put you in that position because I'm not calling you out. But to call Kyrie a walking contradiction, when we sitting up here in this position, you think that was fair or foul?
I co-sign it, and I co-sign it even further.
Y'all both foul.
Even
Two
if you
fouls.
go before this season, go back to when Kyrie Irving said that the earth was flat. Like, I'm not going to applaud someone for thinking differently just for the sake of thinking differently. And that's what Kyrie Irving time after time does. It's actually very
But is that
easy.
your strongest point? My question is, I think dinosaurs didn't exist. You know why? Because I'm joking. But the point is, like, if your whole thing is he's a walking contradiction, why? He thinks the world is flat.
No, because Slick said several.
That's it?
Slick gave several different points of him being
well, you
a
said you
walking-
co-signed, so I'm like...
I co-sign on that, but I'm saying even if you want to undermine all of the 4 or 5 points that Slick gave, I'm still like, I won't applaud someone for thinking differently just for the sake of thinking
But even if LeBron was supporting him and co-signing and others started to snowball in that same support, when Kyrie stood up and said, hey, man, what we doing here? Like, they really had a...
Yeah, the timing was a little bit... Timing was a little bit different.
Yeah,
the timing was a little bit different. There was a players' union get together on what we're going to do. Initially, are we going to go into the bubble? And then, so the agreement was we're going to go into the bubble. Look, everybody still wants to get paid. We want to finish this season. And then Kyrie Irving had a phone call, had to put a group together to have a phone call to say, do we really want to do this? Should we really do this? Then they went in the bubble. And George Floyd happened, and then everybody thought, hold on a second. But that was a different, the timeline was different on that. Kyrie decided, I'm going to back up and take this back to the drawing board after everybody collectively had a chance to come together and make a decision. And here's my bottom line, Marcellus, is that I'm all for the person who thinks out of the box. This is one of the things I love about this show, because I think we do that consistently. Facts. We don't take the traditional line. Somebody's always coming with something new. But there's reason behind it. I know what your logic is. I know why you're going that direction. Kyrie Irving says, I want to go to Brooklyn and I want to win a championship. That's my goal. I don't want to get vaccinated. Okay, wait a minute. Which one is it? Like, what's your purpose here? What is your goal? And I don't want to get vaccinated. Why don't you want to get vaccinated? For all the people out there who are losing their jobs because they're not vaccinated. Okay, so how does you not getting vaccinated help me understand? And if Kyrie would give me the explanation, if he would give me the understanding of what he's doing and why he's doing it, I might be able to get on board. But what I get from him is, I'm going in this direction. No, I think I'm going to go this direction. No, I'm going to go this direction. I don't know why he's doing what he's doing. And that is why I call him a walking contradiction. Not because he thinks different.
Slick, I'll tell you why. Genuinely, because this is where I agree with you. I don't think that Kyrie Irving's intention is ever anything besides, well, everybody's going left, I want to go right. That's genuinely what I think it is. And remember, the reason I say so is because Kyrie Irving, to a degree, said so himself. After finally people were like, Kyrie, you're saying the world is flat, but everybody knows that the earth is not, in fact, flat. He said, well, I just wanted to encourage people to think differently. Yeah. That was your logic? You have 20+ million followers, and your intention behind saying that the world was flat wasn't because you actually believed it, wasn't because you did any research, wasn't because you went back and realized that Galileo and other old school researchers were flawed in their logic. It was simply you wanted people to think differently. That was it. So I'm with you on that, Slick. We've deviated a little bit from the question, but this discussion to me is more enlightening. But I'm with you on that point.
But to your point right there, if his intention, not his device, not his mechanism, not his route, but if his intention is to have people think differently, I think that's a greater upside than what's the consequences of him saying the world is flat. Like, just think about it. Someone says the world is flat. How's that changing in your world?
The consequence, though, Sel, is when now it's a vaccination issue.
Okay, but that's a different issue, though.
Right.
Now we're on a different issue.
Right. But let's park here for a second.
Okay.
Let me park here for a second. Because
Tesla. All right.
Because to Marcellus's point, life and death isn't contingent upon the world being flat or round, not at least the way in which we live, right? If you're talking about aviation, well, it probably behooves us to know whether or not the world is flat or not. If you're talking about boats, it behooves you to know whether or not the earth is flat or not. But if the ethos of your being is predicated upon being different, now when matters come to life and death and you want to be different, now you're talking about life and death is on the line, not because of actual logic, but just because you want it to be different. That's why I can't get behind Kyrie Irving in most regards. I can just get behind the fact that he's willing to take a stand. I just don't often like what he's standing for.
Slick, you got
And if you do something as silly as say the earth is flat when we know that it's not, and you want to cause meaningful change by getting people to think different, you're not helping your cause. You're not helping your validity, because you've just said something that is silly that everybody looks at and goes, what's the point of that? And so then when you get to something like vaccination or helping the poor or feeding the homeless, whatever it might be, and it contradicts with other things that you're doing. Okay, so when are we supposed to take you serious? And when are you just throwing something out there to make us, like, think different? He undermines that 20 million, that influence that he has, by not being more disciplined about what he is and what he's trying to get us to think different about.
Man, sound like the plight of Kevin Hart when he did True Story. Like, comedians can't do drama. Like, oh, you can't say something funny and silly and then all of a sudden try to be deep and dark. Like, oh, we can't separate the signal from the noise. I'm with you there, Slick, though. But I think, for me, Kyrie Irving is this. And maybe he's my spirit animal. Maybe he's my kindred spirit. That's why I get him. The only box you could put me in is no box. And Kyrie Irving, at least through actions through this course, certainly has lived up to it. NBA fans, come back with us.